Well, it's about time, folks. Here we go, on to the final main board in Mario Party 1. Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? I am Duffy Duck here once again, and I'm back for some more yet again for the likes of the Mexi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for more of Let's Play of Mario Party for the Nintendo 64. So last weekend is the fact that we've pretty much gone through Bowser's Magma Mountain, despite the some sort of a rubbish beginning portion of the board. Like, I simply managed to got myself some very unfortunate, unlucky moments worth noting for. And, in the end, though, we did manage to win nonetheless. So today for this episode, even for the entire weekend, actually, now is the fact that we're going to be exploring onto the final main board, or in this case, the final and the 8th board in the game, which is, of course, Eternal Star. And basically, much like in Bowser's Magma Mountain, this board is another one of those unlockable boards. This time around, however, though, in order to unlock this board, not only do you need to able to play through not only main 6 boards from the start, but also you need to play through Bowser's Magma Mountain for the first time. And to top it all off is the fact that we need to get ourselves 100 stars in order to able to unlock this board. Because what this simple premise is all about is the fact that, as you can tell, the actual star itself has been scattered or shattered. And because of this, though, Bowser did manage to able to steal 100 of those stars from the Mushroom Bank, and it's up to Mario and his friends to able to fix the Eternal Star itself, and hopefully trying to stop Bowser. In addition to Bowser, we actually introduce into ourselves Baby Bowsers, which later on until Mario Party 4 and onwards, since until 7, basically you're able to change his name into Mini Bowser or Koopa Kid if you lived in America, which I'm sure most people already know what I'm trying to talk about right here. So either way though, wow, looks like Luigi got very lucky from the very get-go, just because, although despite he was off by 1 coin, and yes, the reason why I'm truly able to actually just appoint himself for Baby Bowsers is because, yes, unlike in any other boards in this game, as you can see, there are 7 star spaces, in this case multiple star spaces in this particular board. In order to actually achieve the star, you need to able to have a one-on-one competition between the forms of one of these 7 Baby Bowsers. Like, in order to able to get the star, you need to get a higher roll compared to Baby Bowser does. And if you somehow don't, then I might as well show it off until later on, assuming if one of those computer players managed to able to got themselves screwed over in certain segments worth noting for. And as promised to you guys, I'm going to be playing as Mario for the grand finale board, just like in any other Mario Party series of Let's Plays, as you guys should know. And the opponents-wise we've got is, of course, Luigi, Peach, and Yoshi. In this case, some sort of a standard lineup for the 4-player character's choice or something, I don't know. So, yeah, how's anyone doing? Basically, today's day is, of course, the 19th of September today, in this case in 2020. Unfortunately, I didn't seem to able to actually got myself, Super Mario 3D All-Stars just yet, though. Just because, well, we'll save that up until at some point by the end of the year. Despite we still managed to get ourselves 6 months left until the actual production stockings with, you know, Super Mario 3D All-Stars will be all out in time. So either way though, because chances are I'm really looking forward to able to actually just to replay through, you know, 3 of those Mario's Adventures again, except this time in a much more gorgeous HD. Although despite Super Mario 64 doesn't seem to have, you know, widescreen support, but it does have a really good 720p quality nonetheless. And also same applies for the widescreen in Super Mario Sunshine, and even the actual quality on that game is actually way more gorgeous than ever before. Although some people may able to complain about the fact that certain cutscene cinematics do feel a little bit too, well, how should I say, a little bit daunting, as well as at the same time a little bit blurry or darker compared to the forms of how it does it, how vibrant the GameCube version actually looked, even for certain cinematics though, nonetheless. Because of that though, it kind of reminds me of a similar vibe as in the forms of Kingdom Hearts HD remasters, specifically Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and Dream Drop Distance, because those games did manage to get themselves remastered ports, or in this case remastered remake with additional content or something. Mind you, new forms of Dream Drop Distance on the PS4, it seems to be more specifically, it's almost like a port to the 3DS version, like it has the exact same content as ever before, except the biggest difference is now is the fact that it contains 60 frames per second, as you know. Speaking of the forms of the Kingdom Hearts stuff, is the fact that originally that usually one of those interviewers, they managed able to point it out that when is Kingdom Hearts will be expected to be releasing on a Nintendo Switch, but unfortunately it seems to be summarized as it might be pretty difficult to program it. Because of that though, I don't really think they can try to able to go ahead and just port other Kingdom Hearts games on the actual Nintendo Switch hardware. So it's kind of sucks, but at least we still managed to get ourselves Melody of Memory for the PlayStation 4 and the, of course, Nintendo Switch, even though it's like a rhythm game basically. So yeah, as you can tell already, as you can see, it's the fact that, again, in order to be able to achieve the star in this board, basically you get out to compete against with Baby Bowser in certain of those dice roll match, as you can see right there. And luckily for you, you're always able to get yourselves 8, 9, and 10. And as far as Baby Bowser's dice rolls, as far as I'm concerned, he always attempts to get himself 1 through 10. Because of that though, you're always guaranteed to able to win this no matter what. Even if you really want to get a whole bunch of stars, then more power to you. And by the way, the happening spaces in this board, basically what happens is the fact that they'll try to able to force everyone to get teleported back into the very beginning of the board. That might be seems a little bit too you know, luck or anything like that. I'm not exactly sure how could I usually explain about this board, just because it has been a while since I actually did manage to able to get back into this since last weekend, or specifically last Sunday if you will. So either way though, because excuse me, that's obviously because I'm still busy playing through Super Monkey Ball 2 recently as a redo Let's Play of that game, and sure enough it actually goes off pretty dang well, even compared to the forms of how it does it back in 2012, even though it's no longer there anymore. But either way though, that's enough about that. And speaking of more Nintendo related stuff, is the fact that one thing that I totally forgot to mention during the forms of Super Monkey Ball 2 Let's Play, and even Piglet is not even mentioning about that either, and that was the fact that recently, Nintendo just managed to announce another Hyrule Warriors game, but this time around it's going to take place in Breath of the Wild, or to be more specifically, 100 years before the actual Breath of the Wild game. And because of that though, they revealed Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. And as far as I can gather, it's the fact that that particular game plays exactly like how it did in the forms of the original Hyrule Warriors. Like, you can still do like some sort of like a beat, like hack and slash kind of game, as you know, from the likes of similar thing as how it does it in Dynasty Warriors series. But this time around, however, though, it's most likely going to be focusing on, you know, Breath of the Wild universe, which is pretty cool, I must say. Especially noticeable for the first time ever, you can now able to play as, in terms of Breath of the Wild universe, in terms of the Zelda series, for the first time ever, you can now finally able to play as Zelda, as well as the, all the champions, which I know it's been a while since I actually did manage to play Breath of the Wild, just because I've got a lot of distractions for certain stuff, as you know, and because of that though, that I haven't really touched upon Breath of the Wild. Although, to be quite frank, it's the fact that I'm also able to actually play through, you know, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity first, before I dive right into Breath of the Wild, the actual Breath of the Wild game, before the sequel is about to be on its way until possibly next year or something. But then again though, it's just the actual pandemic is trying to able to screw everything up in the entire world, even for the majority of the forms of development cycle or something, so... Excuse me, I'm really sorry about this, folks. It's just the fact of the matter is that I've still got something in my throat, so... And hey, the star is mine. Now, I think to get to the Boo in this board is actually a little bit tricky and difficult if you manage the first time playing this board. Although, because of this though, the main emphasis on this board, and that's one thing I totally forgot about this, is the fact that this particular board does have a lot of teleporting devices, or to be more specifically, a lot of teleportation portals. And because of that though, every time whenever you get into those little teleportation devices, likely those portals as you can see right there, you'll be traversing through different parts of the actual main board. Excuse me, I'm really sorry about this, folks. But basically, it's the fact that all you have to do to go from one place to another is the fact that you have to get a lot of emphasis on the forms of using those, you know, portal devices, or in this case, portal pads, until you're able to actually go and traverse through the different parts of the board. So, and what makes this a little bit complicated than the forms of how it does it in Warriors Battle Canyon slightly, and that was the fact that every time whenever you meet up with Bowser, or to be more specifically in the actual main board, basically what happens is the fact that basically he will decide to able to change the actual the warp pads into a different specific spots, which that maybe seems dang it, White Peach goes after me. Whatever I do to you? Oh, wait a minute, because I keep winning those minigames, that's why. Anyway, enough about that, and as a matter of fact now, is the fact that, well, it just gets a little bit random until whenever you're able to go ahead and, you know, trying to go from different places else. And especially noticeable, it doesn't help about the fact that, well, every time you're able to select certain random, you know, portal, you know, pads or teleportation pads, basically it's the fact that sometimes you can either lead you to the continuation of the path, or even sometimes it might lead you all the way back to the very beginning of the board, which it can be a little bit of a trial and error annoyances as far as you know, but ultimately speaking though is the fact that one thing I do give this board credit for is the fact that, unlike in any other Mario Party games, until it wasn't until in Mario Party 8 came around, as well as, you know, Mario Party 9, the final board in this game does manage to take place into outer space, which to be expected because we're about to be saving the actual star itself, which as to be expected, because as a result that you would be able to actually just guarantee to able to stop Bowser and baby Bowser's at the same time throughout, so you know, you get the idea for that little solutions to worth noting for. So either way though, not much else to tell for this point. And plus this is a grand finale of the forms of the original Mario Party. Oh sweet! I got myself another faster dice block, or a, to be more specifically, speed block. So because that's what usually calls it in here. So either way though, now it's time to get ourselves another star. So in this case I got a 9, and let's see what Baby Bowser's gonna get. He got just a puny 1. So yeah, that was my second star so far for the sake of this board. How's that for that? So another thing is worth noting for, in terms of Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity game, basically, I think it also gets a release date for that as well, which is not that long actually. It was going to be releasing until next 2 months, which I'm pretty sure that's what Nintendo is about to be doing every now and then, especially because, you know, with the pandemic is going on at the moment. And because of this though, is the fact that they always attempt able to announce newer set of titles, including several ports as well. Although the only exception is of course Super Mario 3D World, because that was about to due out and doing at some point in February next year. But specifically from other Shadow Drop games, for certain announcements worth noting for, that is because of how the fact that they always attempt to do some sort of a drop shadow for each and every single month so far, well some of them anyway. Then they obviously gives us the release date until not that long, until 2 months. So, like, let's just say for example, back in May this year, that we've obviously got ourselves Paper Mario the Origami King, and then eventually they get the release date until the 17th of July in 2020. In this case, that will be about 2 months away. And then in Journey Forms of last month on August, which is of course Pikmin 3 Deluxe, obviously gets it announced. And then basically that will be due out in June at some point on the 30th of October. And I think that particular port of Pikmin 3 did manage to able to get an announcement during, I would say, in the 5th of August or something. And because of that, though, they've obviously announced the release date, as I said earlier, which is of course the 30th of October, which is about 2 months away. And then recently, during the forms of, I would say, actually, during the forms of likely 11 days ago, basically it's the fact that they obviously revealed, you know, the sequel to Hyrule Warriors, or to be more specifically, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. And because of this, though, they actually did give ourselves the release date for it until 20th of November for the sake of this year, which is about 2 months away. So either way, though, I mean, what's next? Is it going to be October next, where they're going to be revealing some different game during December or something? But then again, though, we haven't exactly known about this yet, especially noticeable because we still need forms of September so far. Speaking of September, actually, it's the fact that we're actually on the halfway point in September already. So because of that, jeez, why does time manage to fly by almost? But anyway, I do like the actual music for this particular board actually. It almost feels like epic and intense and everything like that. But even then, no, that's how it usually goes by for this point. So anyway, so looks like Luigi's gonna get ourselves, or get himself rather, his next star. So he got a 9. And what is Baby Bowser's gonna get? Oh, ouch. Basically, if you lose to Baby Bowser, this happens. You lose a star in the process. So this is one of those boards that does contain difficulty 3-star rating as far as I'm concerned. This is pretty obvious because the reason why this is the 3-star difficulty because of a number of reasons actually. For one, the teleportation devices can sometimes transport you to a different part of the board. And also because you will lose stars a lot for the sake of this board. Like, let's just say, for example, if you meet up with Bowser, as what Luigi just already went into, if you somehow obtain a star, if you meet up with Bowser, he will take a star from you instantly. Although it's kind of like the similar thing for how it does it in Bowser's Magma Mountain, except the biggest difference is now, he doesn't pull off the actual dice block roulette until able to actually. You kidding me? I was hoping I could get the star, but unfortunately that stupid minus block just somehow screwed me up. How dare you? I mean, how dare you, game? Anyway, another thing is worth noting for is the fact that to get to Boo, as I said earlier, is actually a lot more difficult than any forms of how it does in any other boards for that matter. Just because of how the fact that you always have to rely on the teleport pads. And because of that, though, you never know exactly what that's gonna lead into you to. So, looks like Yoshi's gonna guarantee to get himself his stars. So even though, luckily for him, he did. Even though kind of think about it, is the fact that that was the exact same Baby Bowser as what Luigi did already face off against, but unfortunately he lost. So because of that, though, he lost his star in the process if you lose the actual dice block face-to-face kind of stuff. And yeah, there's gonna be a lot of times you will lose a star a lot for the sake of the forms of this board. Like, one form losing by Baby Bowser's dice block face-off, as well as meet up with Bowser in that particular segment of the actual board, that assuming if you're able to get the star. And I think that's as far as I can say in terms of how the fact that you lose stars quite easily for this board. Even though, I won't admit that right away, it's the fact that this particular board might not be so bad. It's just the fact that with these teleportation devices, even the happening spaces as a result too, sometimes it gives you a lot of opportunities to give you a lot of misunfortunate standpoints. Oh, dang it! Why do I just do that? That's a bit puny. Especially noticeable how the fact that I accidentally just stepped on, you know, or jump on rather, to Luigi, so. But regardless of such though, Luigi sadly has got nothing. Like, no stars, no coins whatsoever, so. A good short here is the fact that this board might take a bit longer in comparison to any other board so far for this game, just because there's going to be a lot of well, obviously it's going to be a lot of board events, like basically if you keep on landing those happening spaces as what Peach already lands onto, basically that seems kind of pointless, Peach. That seems rather pointless to you because we've already got back there. Jeez, what was the point about it? And Luigi gets a 10, and he's gonna go that way, and I wonder what pathway he will take. And it turns out he's gonna go, that seems pointless, Luigi! That's really pointless! Why'd you go there? Oh, wait a minute, you gotta go for the happening star, aren't you? But what's the point of able to actually get us three back all the way to the exact same place? Seriously. I mean, seriously, what the hell? Anyway, 5. So let's see what's up ahead. Although, again, we always have to take a guess here until whenever we figure out the correct path. Although, much like the forms of how it does it in, well, let's just say in DK's Jungle Adventure, as well as Wario's Battle Canyon, Luigi's Engine Room, and Bowser's Magma Mountain, basically, every time you get a star, obviously it'll be replaced by chance time spaces. Although, if you somehow manage to take down all 7 of those baby Bowsers during the actual board, something will do definitely happens until whenever we get onto that specific stuff. But then again, we'll pointings out more on that, and doing that at some point likely for tomorrow, just because, well, obviously there's not much else to talk about apart from the fact that, well, the new Zelda game has been announced for the sake of this year. So at least we got that, even though it's nowhere near as like, oh jeez, no. At least I'm still excited for that, especially noticeable that we've got all 3 versions of Hyrule Warriors game. Oh, son of a... Why do I screw up in this minigame? I always seriously get screwed over on this minigame a lot. Or maybe it's because I'm used to with the top 100 version or something, I don't know. But sometimes though, I always get myself screwed over for the sake of that particular points worth noting for. But regardless of such though, I think I'm still in the lead in terms of, you know, minigame stars so far, but either way though, enough about that. Let's see what Peach is gonna get, a 3. So in this case, she'll go for the mushroom space, as you saw, and she goes to go again. Alright, something worth noting for this point as well is the fact that, one thing I totally forgot to mention something is the fact that recently, Capking74 has recently got themselves another 2 Mario Party games, which this time around, they are both for the GameCube. Like, one is Mario Party 5, and another one is Mario Party 6. Now, for Mario Party 5, he did obviously now got the game at long last after his, childhood memory. Although, unfortunately though, is the fact that, well, the disc itself works brilliantly. However though, it doesn't come with the actual cover art, which, it kind of reminds me like I already had Rayman Raving Rabbids 2 back in the day, back in a long time ago. And then when I finally got that game, it doesn't come with the cover art for whatever goddamn reason. Even for used conditions every now and then, they seem to able to don't give a claustrophobic in terms of likely for good conditions or anything like that. But that's probably just me. That's probably just me anyway. So yeah, obviously he did manage to finally got himself Mario Party 5 now, so that way he can able to actually enjoy the game again. And as far as Mario Party 6 is concerned, well, pretty much the same ways of how it does in Mario Party 5, that he finally got that game after for his childhood memory of in terms of gaming and stuff. However though, there's a lot of unfortunate things worth noting for is the fact that obviously, well, he did got himself his instruction manual for Mario Party 5, which is obviously a good thing. And unfortunately for Mario Party 6 though, is the fact that the conditions on that game, unfortunately though, his disc of the actual game disc for Mario Party 6 doesn't seem to able to work on both the GameCube and the Wii, which is kind of sucks. I think the only reason being for that is because the actual disc has actually got its burned laser, which in this case, some sort of like a 3 scratchable, I don't know how you call it that, but I've seen one of those damaged GameCube discs before. Well, some of them to be extent. And because of that though, unfortunately he doesn't seem to able to actually just to play Mario Party 6 for the sake of time. Plus, because I think that particular game is also going to be extremely pricey, much like in Mario Party 7. But because of that, though, is the fact that he doesn't seem to able to have good lucks in terms of like eBay sellers. Even especially noticeable, and I remember that back in Journey Forms of 2012, that he was going to be able to get himself Pokemon Emerald for the very first time, but then it turns out it's the fact that he got himself the fake cartridge of that particular game, which has like a number of issues, like for instance that, well, obviously the battery that allows you to save the game will not work. And also, it's the fact that with, what was I trying to say? Oh yeah, in terms of likely for the actual game label is incredibly fake, and also the green cartridge looks also incredibly fake as well. I'm pretty sure we might be able to get a lot of common fake game cartridges every once in a while, especially how obviously every now and then though is the fact that recently we've now got ourselves a reproductioning version of those N64 game cartridges now, and because of that though, it might cause a lot of those potential of warning when it comes to likely certain game collector, but obviously out of all the actual players out there who ever experienced the actual reproduction in game cartridges, I've never actually come across into one for myself. Clearly it's because of how the fact that I've pretty much gone through several of those N64 games during the 2010s era and onwards, just because, well, just feel like just for the sake of collecting them, and also playing them at the same time as well. Oh my god, another chance time! Oh jeez, I might well guarantee to get myself screwed over in any seconds worth learning for. Anyway, aside from those side things though, luckily for CapKing74, that recently he did manage to able to play through Mario Party 1 and Mario Party 3 as well. Basically, it's the fact that, well, potentially speaking, it's the fact that, okay, what's the point of able to give me a star, even though despite he no longer has a star for Luigi, just because he obviously lost by, you know, Baby Bowser match. Anyway, yeah, obviously, thankfully for him, he at least managed to able to actually got those two games saved during the actual reproduction in cartridge versions of Mario Party 1 and of course Mario Party 3. I'm not exactly sure he was trying to able to get himself Conker's Bad Fur Day, or even am I trying to get that? I'm not exactly 100% sure, just because, man, the original cartridge on that game is actually way more expensive. I'm guessing it's because of the actual mature audiences out there or something like that, which maybe seems obvious about the fact that why that game didn't sell well, even though I haven't really looked upon that much in terms of best-selling N64 stuff, even though I'm also able to do some research on it. It's all likely whenever we get on to the second part in Journey Forms of this board, by the way. So, yeah, I just want to point things out for that point. So, speaking of worth noting things actually, is the fact that, although I still managed to get myself some reproductioning cartridges on certain Game Boy Advance stuff, specifically I still got The Legend of Zelda Diminished Cap, despite the actual cartridge shape looks a bit incredibly odd, and also The Legend of Zelda A Link to the Past / Four Swords, even though despite I've never actually played. Although I've already experienced Four Swords before in the DSiWare, but I no longer have that particular downloadable software just because, well, obviously we've now got ourselves the Nintendo DSi XL, and despite it's actually only for a limited run, similar to the forms of how it does it in specifically Super Mario All-Stars in the 25th anniversary Wii re-release, and also same applies for Super Mario 35. In fact, speaking of Super Mario 35 actually, I'm still looking forward to it, especially noticeable that I'm a die-hard Mario fan, especially noticeable that I'm really looking... Oh my god, that's the second time, Yoshi, you landed on that gosh dang... Ugh. Chance time spaces again. And I think, fundamentally speaking, is the fact that much like Bowser's Magma Mountain, there seems there's going to be a lot of emphasis on chance times. Like, seriously, there's going to be a lot of opportunities. They always attempt to land on this particular spaces a lot. So, yeah, I guess that makes it a little bit more common as you think. So, and it looks like, well, they just both have nothing. Because Peach doesn't seem to have her star yet. I'm guessing me and Yoshi are the only ones managed to able to get the star so far, so... Oh crap, Piranha's Pursuit. Even though we might not be great at this minigame, just because we didn't do that well in terms of cooperating stuff, and also because of how the fact that the actual rain doesn't do that much speed though, I don't think, which I'll point it out whenever we talk about that, until whenever we get on to Minigame Island playthrough, and because of that though, there's not much else I can usually just try to able to speak of, just to say about it. But anyway, I think that's as far as I can say, although it does manage to able to wonder about the fact that, oh yeah, speaking of such, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, also they're getting themselves the actual amiibo functionality again, much like the forms of the original Hyrule Warriors game, except now it's going to be most likely focusing on, well, obviously the Breath of the Wild universe. I still managed to get myself the Guardian amiibo from Breath of the Wild, luckily, and then that way I can able to actually scan in that particular amiibo once that game's about to come out. And speaking of which actually, is the fact that the actual re-release, or the actual, what was I trying to say for this point? Ah, crap, we didn't do so well. Especially because I'm usually going pretty terrible at the cloud. But usually, relatively speaking, ironically, it's the fact that I'm always good at the skateboarding portion, which it seems to be odd to saying this just because, well, I'm obviously pretty much good at the skateboarding segments compared to, you know, the rain clouds and stuff, so I guess that makes it pretty obvious for a certain, you know, just anything else like that, so... But anyway, I think that's as far as I can say for this point, guys, apart from the fact that, well, I've already mentioned about several things during the forms of, in Super Monkey Ball 2 Let's Play, and because of that, though, there's not much else to talk about because of how the fact that, well, I pretty much explained enough as it is, so... At least we'll be all fine and dandy and everything. Chance time or happening space? Well, I might as well say I'm might as well able to go for the happening space just because I refuse to able to lose a star from someone else. Mainly for Yoshi or Luigi or Peach for that matter. That's only because I'll just try and play it safe, even for likely to force everyone to go all the way back to the beginning portion of the board. So, yeah, that's what I'm pointing out for that point, so... Right, so Yoshi's gonna go this way, to the left, and seems to be more specifically, we're almost at the halfway point in terms of Eternal Star, or Eternal Star, or, I don't know. It's hard to pronounce that particular board sometimes, because, usually, relatively speaking, I haven't really played this board too much, compared to the forms of how it does it in any other boards in Mario Party 1.
Ready?
But apart from those side things though, is the fact that we actually on the finale portion on the actual party boards, and then we'll move on to the some extra stuff, mainly with Minigame Stadium, and of course Minigame Island, and also some other extra bits and bobs in between, which hopefully we would be able to actually focus to deal with all that. Ah, dang it, I got possessed by the boo. No! Ah, we failed. So yeah, that's what happens if you do somehow manage to able to deliver that light bulb into that big boo. And because of that though, we've lost 5 coins each. Ah, that was a bit of a terrible start. Even for that particular minigame though, but nonetheless though, still in the lead though, so Peach gets a force. In this case, she's gonna go on to the left. So I wonder what Luigi's might able to do the same thing, which I'm guessing is probably... Oh, he's going a different way. I'm guessing they pretty much exactly know what they're about to be trying to do, even if they really want to go for the next star as much as they could. So, either way though, there's not much else to say about this for the most part. Alright, so I get an 8, and I'm also going that way. And I really can't guarantee about the fact that I can usually just sometimes trust the actual, the teleportation pads. I think I might go over there, just to play it safe, even because of how the fact that I refuse to able to land on that chance time spaces though, which, again, it seems to be common every now and then, especially it wasn't until in, you know, all the way up to well, let's just say Mario Party 2, all the way up to Mario Party 6, basically we can no longer have to worry about the actual chance time spaces or anything like that, so... But at least in Mario Party 7, did manage to able to get a chance time treatment in one of the duel minigames, or duel matches, or whatever you want to able to be more precise with. And also similarly for Mario Party 8 as well, for a certain degree, but I don't know, soon late to say. Alright, so we're now playing through Course Track 2 in Slot Car Derby, and hopefully, oh, Peach got spin out right there. I'm actually quite good at this minigame though. It's just the fact of the matter is though, is the fact that you always have to be super precise when it comes to likely trying to able to drive onto the actual cart itself, so... But you know, you get the idea of how this is going, so... Anywho. But then again, there's not much else I can say for this point, guys. I'm sort of able to actually like to discuss upon other things, but apart from the fact that there's not much else you can talk about. Apart from the fact that the My Little Pony Pony Life, unfortunately though, is the fact that that particular show doesn't get ourselves its good reputation, I'm afraid. Although, it seems just pretty obvious because of how the fact the actual setting on Pony Life doesn't usually compare to how brilliant the Friendship is Magic was, just because, you know, Friendship is Magic is already unique enough as it is, just because it's all super special. It's especially noticeable for any audiences out there seem to really loved it and enjoy it at the same time, including myself. Oh, wait a minute, Peach already made it to that particular star, is she? Yep. She obviously already made it for this point right here, so yeah, she got very lucky right there. Even that particular speed block that she's already got. Oh yeah, speaking of which actually, it's the fact that I was originally trying to able to do this on the first, or I've already done my first recording attempts for the sake of this board, but unfortunately though, things didn't go work out. Especially noticeable because I just keep on losing some other things and all that jazz, and especially noticeable how the fact that what makes this a bit of annoying moments is the fact that sometimes my capture card always attempt to glitch up, which because of that though, yeah, I did manage to fix that up, so... Alright, so Peach might unfortunately get her coins away due to, well, giving Bowser all of her coins. So, yeah, I guess that makes it obvious that bad events worth noting for. Alright, so Luigi, on the other hand, gets a 7, and if he goes onto that teleporting device, he will go on to... Oh, he's going that particular same way, okay. Thank God it doesn't go shuffled or anything.